It is always an honor to be part of a community, worldwide Sangha, where I can feel the presence of people who are pursuing self-discovery, pursuing love, and living from that space. It's so nice. So this week, I've been having some meditation and some questions. I get asked a lot of questions. So I thought I would just share on this topic because so many questions have been asked. And then we can also open up for more questions if any of you like. So the topic is to understand how the mind is structured. Once we understand the structure of the mind, then it can prevent us from falling into the traps of the mind. Because often the mind is considered to be like a minefield, a field that is filled with mines that could explode at any minute. So the mind has gotten a lot of bad rap, and the mind has also gotten some really good raps by the sages who have mastered the art of dovetailing the mind. So, very briefly, I will discuss from the Bhagavad Gita. Most of you know this wisdom text. And also from the Srimad Bhagavatam, very beautiful uh, explanations on how to understand the mind. And once we understand the mind, then we could uh, navigate our way with the mind even better. So I'm just going to go step by step. We experience the world through our senses. And the senses are neutral. The senses meaning the sense of sight, the sense of smell, the sense of taste, sense of touch, and our sense of hearing. So these are the five sensory faculties with which we experience the world. And each one of these senses are interacting with the objects in this world. Till they interact and connect with the object, they remain neutral. After that connection, then that information goes to the mind. And then the mind contemplates on whatever information that it has been provided with. So the mind germinates with everything you have put into it. And then, because the mind contemplates, from that contemplation, it produces an attachment. So when you think about something again and again and again, that breeds attachment. For example, if you saw someone that you were attracted to, then you start to contemplate on that person. And there is an attachment that builds inside of us. It's a natural phenomenon of how the mind works. And from that attachment, it develops into desires. And desires then produce action. That means you have to do something about it. And that action produces karma. So I just gave you the full scale of how the mind is structured. So the senses come in contact with the sense objects, step one. Step two, then the mind is the next layer where the mind contemplates. And that contemplation leads to attachment, and that attachment produces desire. That desire produces action, and that action produces karma. So, this is the basic skeletal structure of the mind. And the mind, by design, only has three functions: thinking, feeling, and willing. That means it desires and it thinks. All the uh, thoughts are in the mind, all the desires are in the mind, and all the feeling, everything you feel, is all only happening in the mind. So, this is the basic structure of the mind. So, the senses, the five senses that we uh, interface with between ourselves and the world, that is the senses. And it's very interesting because that interface that we have with the world, it is of critical in nature, because depending on the interface with the world, our senses will then provide certain detail, certain data to the mind, which then the mind will start to contemplate on and then create this whole process of starting karma. So it's very simple, yet it is very complex sometimes to really, really get to the core of where is our real issue. So now I want to tell you a small story so that you may understand a little bit better what this mind complexities are. So this is a story of a great king named Bharata. You can study about this king in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or also known as the Srimad Bhagavat Puran. And the beautiful part of the story is it shows you the whole spectrum of the mental structure. So this great king Bharata, extremely righteous. He did everything right. There comes a point in your life when you do everything right, you just continue to do everything right. Which means by the age of 50, he gave up his kingdom. He gave up his opulence, his family, his wife, children, his subjects, all the wealth, everything that he was attached to, he gave it up at this tender age of 50, and he went to the forest to be away from material distractions so he could pursue his spiritual goal in life. So when he goes to the forest, he creates a beautiful cottage on the bank of this beautiful river so that he had a place to bathe and water to drink, and he could perform his spiritual rites and spiritual duties every single day. What happens is that as he is pursuing his spiritual practices on a daily basis, his sadhana, one day he notices that at a distance, this lion was chasing a deer, and this deer mother was pregnant. And out of fear, this pregnant mother gave birth to this little baby fawn. The mother was captured, and there laid this helpless little fawn in front of this cottage. Being a genuine saintly king, he had tremendous compassion in his heart. So he went and he picked up this little baby fawn, helpless, and he nursed this baby fawn with the milk from his cows. And took care of it with such care and affection. Many of you know that deers are generally very affectionate creatures. They're very easy to be attached to, and the way they look at you is such, they look into your soul, so it's a very endearing species. So this is what happened to this king. He saw the abandoned fawn and he brought it and he took care of it out of duty, out of compassion. Then, every day, no matter what he was doing in his life, he kept thinking about this deer because this deer was young and helpless, this baby fawn. So, what happened? He saw, and now this deer is in his life, and he's constantly contemplating on this deer and making sure the deer is properly taken care of. And this leads to attachment, such deep attachment to this deer, and to always be in close proximity with this deer to make sure it was always protected because it didn't have any parents. Very human, very human. But what happened in the process was that his own spiritual practices, his sadhana, started to suffer, pay the price. So he started to slack in his morning sadhana. No japa in the morning, no yoga in the morning, no meditation, no reading the shastras, none of that. And what happens when your sadhana becomes weak? As we study in the Bhagavad Gita, that your action produces karma, and that karma produces your rebirth. Because what you're doing is when you do something on a regular basis, you're creating a behavioral pattern that becomes synonymous with your existence, your survival. And whatever consciousness that you carry throughout your life, or the consciousness that you cultivate throughout your life, that consciousness you will enter into your next life. So what happened? He left his body thinking of this baby deer, and in next life he was born as a deer, because there is only a transfer. So the gross body is made out of there's 5 gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. The subtle body is called the Shukshma Sharir, is made out of the mind, intelligence, and the false ego. And the chitta, your memories, are also going with it. So what happened? As a deer, whatever consciousness he had as the king who was attached to this deer, that consciousness immediately got transferred into this body of the deer. So now someone can say, oh, he was punished. This king was punished for being attached to the deer. No, that's not what the sages are saying. The sages are saying that this is just the momentum that the world moves in. Karma is the momentum that we all are moving through. So therefore, the sages are saying, yes, very important to understand the structure of the mind so you don't get caught up in the structure. Because karma in itself is like a wheel. And your dharma, or your psychophysical nature, is the axis of that wheel. So if your dharma, if our actions are not purpose driven, it does not, is not, we don't live our life based on the purpose of our life, then what happens? Karma goes around, and the wheel that you'll be going around in circle with may not be a very balanced wheel. So there's a need for a perfect balance of karma and dharma. So here I give you an example of how karma is unconscious repetition. That is what karma is. And dharma is a conscious alignment with our inner purpose in life. And that is what the axis of the wheel is. Does that make sense? I'm just curious. Did I lose anyone? Any questions on that little
I have a question, Veda.
please, Mama Zinga, go for it.
Hey, how are you, Veda? It's good to see you. Good morning
Good to see you and good morning.
from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm back from traveling 7 Asian countries, and I've really missed you overseas.
We have missed you, so please tell us.
Well, the question I want to learn is I'd like to know where can I find the hyperlink if I'd like to be able to go back over these notes in class. Things get really busy in the United States, and I want to make sure that I hear you and take good notes. And I'd like to know, is this the book that I'm supposed to be starting, the Bhagavad
Yes,
Gita, in order to learn what you're saying today?
yes, 100%. And if you don't have one, you can message me and we'll make sure you get one. Because
Okay.
the Bhagavad Gita is the foundation of of foundational manual manuscript for us. It's a dialogue between two friends, as Krishna and Arjuna. 17 questions are asked, and Krishna, being Arjuna's friend, he doesn't speak unless he was asked to speak. It's a very beautiful uh, appearance of this sacred wisdom. He just waited for him to go on his rant, and when he finished his rant, he says, "Okay, Krishna, you're my friend. You're all I got. Can you help me out here?" So then this Bhagavad Gita is the fundamental or the ABCs of understanding all Vedic texts. So once you read the Gita, it was spoken in about 40 minutes. So it's actually not, it's just that our intelligence needs to assimilate a lot of data. We are a little slower than the people in those ages. So it can take us maybe a week to go through it and, months, but that's where we start. And there in the Gita, you'll find what I'm sharing with you today. Margot has questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mama Zinga.
So, Veda, how do we train the mind to move from these unconscious choices of karma and move so, we're always moving on the path of our dharma? How can we do that as, you know, in this real world? How, how can we train our mind?
Beautiful question. Arjuna asks Krishna the same question in the fourth chapter of the Gita. He says, "Krishna, please, can you help me out? I need to figure out how to figure out this, the wheel of the entanglement that the mind puts me through. So how do I figure this out?" And Krishna explains to Arjuna, he says, "My dear Arjuna, it's really simple. It's 3 steps. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya." In 3 words, pranipatena, pariprashnena, and seva. That we have to be humble and sincere to know the truth, our own truth. We have to be sincere. Number one, sincerity. And number two, it says that we must humbly approach. Humbly approach who and what? We have to humbly approach a teacher that can actually help us to understand. And the third step, he says, is seva, that we must render service. Sincerity, humility, humbly inquire from a teacher, and to render service. Very three simple steps. Because this loop that we are in, the karmic loop, we call it, can only be interrupted by dharma. Otherwise, the karmic loop just goes on and on and on and on. And it is the moment we ask this question that you just asked, Margot. It's a very simple thing. You ask that question. The moment we ask the question, then intelligence kicks in. When buddhi kicks in, dharma is ignited. So this question is the key. Pariprashna. There is a special text called the Vedanta Sutra, and it is all just nothing but questions. It's existential and pre-existential questions. And it's so beautiful because that is the art through which, like, we're studying. That's our school. Bhakti and Vedanta is our school, is to ask these questions. And these questions must follow this three-step module that Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, that we must actually be sincere to know the truth about ourselves. Does that make any sense, Margot? Do you want more clarifications that suffice?
No, that's perfect. Maybe a little bit more about the sincerity of wanting to know the self. Is that this pursuit that we're having, moving from ignorance to enlightenment, is that, or just knowing who we are, who we really are?
Yes. That sincerity comes with humility. Without humility, there is no sincerity. It's not it's not a quality of the mind. It is a quality of the intelligence in the heart. So therefore, sincerely and with sincerity and humility to know the truth, then that truth will be provided to you. We have to keep in mind there's teachers or gurus are divided into 4 different categories. And each one of them collectively are playing a role to guide a sincere, humble seeker. It's not one or the other, or it's not just one. There's 4 teachers. Because the truth is also within you, and there's a teacher within you that's trying to teach your truth to you. We just are not eager to listen. And that's okay. That's why there's a teacher outside that tells you, hey, Margot, what do you think about this? And then there's another teacher that reminds you right next to you all the time. So there's constant companionship in the spiritual art of bhakti, that you're always surrounded by teachers. But that sincerity and humility is the key component, the key qualities that enables us to help us find our truth.
I have a question, but I know that time is short.
Demaya, yes, you may ask your
Yes.
question before I.
Yes. Let me quickly ask. So you spoke about karma. So does one, like, when they're not strictly following their, I guess you would say dharma, or just one's individual spiritual act, like early in the mornings, or just what you were speaking about, that particular character, I forget his name. Um, so does one get karma for not, is one getting that karma for not participating strictly with their particular duty of regulations and spiritual the bhakti culture.
You don't get karma for that. You're just
Oh, okay.
within the cycle of karma.
Oh, okay.
You're just karma without dharma. So imagine a wheel that doesn't have an axis. That wheel is going to be really, really wonky.
Mhm.
So that's what happens. So dharma, your purpose, is very much the key axis that we need to have, and that's what dharma is. I was going to share, like it's very interesting how these five sensory faculties that we are interfacing with the world with, they are your gateway to entrapment or enlightenment. And it's so beautiful to just to think about the five sensory faculties. Faculties meaning they're your teachers. They're there for you to engage with. And it depends on you how you engage with them. Like I was just thinking how, in the Mahabharata, there's a very beautiful story of these two families. There's one joint family and they become disjointed and they fight this epic battle where the whole world was involved, where uncountable numbers of soldiers gave their life. And they were fighting on the principles of dharma. There was one part of the family fought on the principles of dharma, on purpose, for a higher purpose, and there's another family that fought for greed. So in that epic story, there is a very unique character. His name is Duryodhana. And this Duryodhana, he was just so jealous of his extended family members, his cousins. He was so envious by seeing their wealth, by seeing their success, by seeing their happiness, by seeing their joy. He carried this envy in his heart. And because of that, the whole chain of events happened in his life. This whole epic war happened where he was destroyed. And not him. He destroyed his whole dynasty. Not just his dynasty, but his extended family members all over the world. Just by seeing that his extended family members had more wealth than him. So imagine just the sense of sight can create such a ripple effect in the cycle of karma where the mind loops you and just keep looping you around to the point of your demise. So you can look at each one of those sensory faculties, how they could be the cause of your demise or could be the cause of your enlightenment. You know the story in the Ramayana of Sita Devi. She saw this beautiful golden deer that she had never seen before. And she just wanted that deer. She saw it and she wanted it. And Ram went chasing after that deer. And that whole Ramayana happens where she was kidnapped and held captive for a very long time. So, in this way, you will notice that each and every one of those sensory faculties are very, very instrumental in our entrapment or in our enlightenment. So, this is why to understand how the mind works, the loop of the mind, understand how it works, then you're able to get out of it because you need to have an access. That access is your purpose, is your dharma. And then everything moves in uh, perfect harmony. Someone had another question. Yes, Divya, please share with us.
Well, I humbly ask for your opinion on two Sanskrit words that I get confused sometimes, and I think your stories maybe you could clarify. And the words are samskara and samsara.
Ah, beautiful. Samskaras are impressions. We are, when the senses come in contact with the object of the senses, like when you watch a movie of violence, it creates an impression in your mind. Like, for example, now I was just reading, someone sent me an article that during COVID, that pornography sites had an uptick of 80% increase. And now when you look at something, it creates impressions. And those impressions, again, you're going into the loop of this karmic cycle. So that is what a karma is. Sorry, samsara is. Samsara is, it means something that goes in a cyclic motion. And samskara is the impressions that you get from those cyclic motions.
Okay.
But beautiful
Thank
question,
you.
Divya.
Thank you.
Janardhan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My question kind of stems from Dhamaya. It says it's better to perform one's own duty, prescribed duty than any other. So is there a different karmic weight to doing that duty than a different one? Like or is everything the same?
Good question, Janardhan Prabhu. There's a karmic duty in that question that she asks. It's a question that Arjuna asks Krishna as well. And Krishna tells Arjuna, my dear friend, let me share something with you. It's better to do your duty wrong, improperly, inadequately, than to do someone else's duty right. So it's very important to realize that each and every one of us have a unique purpose. We have come into this world with a unique gift that we bring to this world. And that gift that you bring to this world is your dharma, your purpose that you bring to this world. And so,
So what's an example of performing somebody else's duty? What if you're doing it like subconscious, like unconsciously? Like I've always questioned what is an example of being in that position?
I got you honey buns.
okay, so for example, you're a student. Demaya, you're going to college, you're a student. That's your dharma. As a student, you're supposed to study. Now, if you go out and start partying and doing drugs and all kinds of other abominable things, is that your karma? Is that your dharma? That's not your duty. So then there will be consequences for those actions. So those things, something that is not your duty, if you're a mother and you end up doing something else, not your motherly duty, then you're in the whole karmic cycle again. So the point is that whatever actions we do, we have to operate according to our psychophysical nature, our dharma. And if you don't know, you just ask a teacher and the teacher will guide you by simply asking you a million questions. Then we'll navigate you to find your dharma. It's very, it's not very complex. It's actually quite easy. Any teacher can do that. Linda has a question. Linda, you have the floor.
We have the floor. I need the questions to help uncover my dharma. So I've been mindful as a mother. Like I've always kind of felt torn between the motherly responsibilities and a larger, less personal responsibility. Let's see. I don't know what my question is. I'm mindful with purpose, our unique purpose. Sometimes I can be, the mind can start trying to figure out which project or where to channel my energy. I have a lot of interests. And I feel like the primary purpose, or I don't know if that's Dharma, is to be an instrument of peace and love. And it seems like that could be channeled and expressed in many different ways, different projects or different callings. So I'm not quite sure where to put all my energy. I have friends, that are like so focused, like it's so clear where they're putting their energy. So I don't know what my question is. I'm just mindful. For me, it seems like a general global dharma, and then it can manifest in different ways. I'm not sure where to put my focus.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Linda. It's going to take time. It's going to need some more guidance, but I think you're heading in the right direction. The very fact that you're asking the questions about purpose and you have some definition of that, it's a great start. And that's the beauty of life, is to stop when we engage our intelligence in the process of the mind loop. Then you are basically saying, I'm going to live on purpose, not unconsciously. So you're already on the right track, Linda. So fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anuradha Leela, thank you for being so patient. Please share with us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask questions. The more you speak, the more I have questions. But I would like to start with the first one, or one at least at the moment, if possible. So this question I also had for a while, and it is definitely connected with mine. So I wanted to find out, we often, or most of the time, we hear how it is important to be in the mode of service, how it is important to constantly give and serve, and but I also often hear from those people who, I guess, maybe like doctors and so on, how important it is for us to rest. So I often think, is it when I feel finally after, doing so many duties and services, when I want to rest, or when I want to like stop my mind from even hearing sometimes, is it my mind just telling me, or like, is it some sort of Maya telling me that I need to rest? Especially if I, more and more try to understand that I'm not this body, that I'm not this mind. How to figure out, do I ever need to rest? How to rest? What is the right, way of resting for those people who are trying to um, become God conscious? Something like
Beautiful. Beautiful. There's a practical answer to that, and there's a spiritual answer, philosophical answer to that. So the practical answer, I would say, is divide 24 hours into 3. and you'll have a very clear roadmap, 8 hours of rest, 8 hours of work, and 8 hours for personal spiritual growth. So and then you'll be able to find an easier balance. That's a more practical answer. In terms of, how do we know that we need to rest? The body gives a lot of signals, and it's an art. Sometimes you can oversleep or you can undersleep. So Krishna tells Arjuna, a yogi should not, you know, oversleep and undersleep, should not overeat or undereat. So there's a very strict balance because it needs training. So Krishna always explains to Arjuna that mind is not something that you can get rid of. It's going to be a permanent companion. Just like you have a child, you can't say, okay, I don't want this kid anymore. It doesn't work like that. You have the baby, you have to be with the baby and you have to work with the baby. You cannot leave. So Krishna tells Arjuna that you must give the baby a higher taste other than just being on the phone and being addicted to sugar and whatnot. You have to give baby a higher taste. And so therefore, when the companion that we have with us, mind, we should not think how to shut it down, how to fight it, how to push it away, how to reject it, how to abandon it, because none of it will work. You cannot reject your mind. It's not going to leave you. No matter how badly you treat your children still want to be close to you. Imagine, one time I saw a little baby on a train with the mother. For some reason, the baby wanted something and the mother didn't have the money to give. And the baby, was heavily chastised by the mother. And the mother pushed the baby away. And the mother walked and sat on the other side. And the baby just cried, but still followed the mother and moved towards the mother and started to behave himself. So the sages explain that the mind is our companion that is going to take us even to our next life. So why? If it's a companion we can't get rid of, it's our permanent companion in this life that is karmically connected even to our next life and our previous lives, then why are we trying to fight it so hard? So Bhagavatam explains that we have to see how to engage with the mind by engaging the mind with a higher taste, engaging the mind, giving the mind better options than the taste that it already has. So this is the secret, that we must allow our mind to be our partners, our companions, that we can have dialogues with so that we can together move it forward. We don't listen to the mind as our master. The mind is definitely not going to be your slave, but the mind will be your companion and will reason. And through that process, we can advance in our spiritual life. So the whole art of understanding the structure of the mind is to realize that it's a very formidable force and it's attached to us. We can't get rid of it. And the best way to engage with it by dovetailing the mind with a higher taste. And the sages have repeatedly explained the higher taste comes through repetition, through consistent training. That means that we must practice our sadhana every single day and let the mind get used to the sadhana practice and experiencing a higher taste. And it is, Krishna explains chapter 2 of the Gita, Vishaya vinivartante nirahara sadehinam. Very beautiful. Rasho Varjam Rasho Pyasya Param Drishtva. Needs a higher taste. Divya, would you like to add something?
No, a question. Is there a lower mind and a higher mind?
Yes. A lower
Can you
mind
tell
is a
us
mind
about
that
that?
does not cooperate with you. The mind that is fighting you and taking you away from yourself. That is a lower mind. A higher mind is a mind that is with you and supporting you and accompanying you to Food for Lives, accompanying you to the Sangha, to the satsang, to the kirtans. That's your, you know, that's your better mind. So the mind does have, operates on the level of goodness and the passion and on the level of ignorance. So you can upgrade the operational consciousness of the mind. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Divya. Shiva, please share with us.
Hare Krishna. So my question is I kind of stumbled upon Ekadashi, um, and I wanted to know how do you prepare um, for Ekadashi?
Great question. So I think there is a WhatsApp group Nita has created. If you haven't joined, Nita can send you the link. And what I will do is I will take the time to share with you every Ekadasi day. Ekadasi day is a day of fast. It is an astrologically very potent day for not just your physical, emotional, and spiritual well being. It addresses your three dimensional existence. And it comes with very beautiful, unique stories. So I think Nitai, is there a group that they can join? And if you send them the link, then we will send you Ekadashi updates and we'll give you 1 day advance notice and we'll show you how to fast. Because it's so, so nice. Because it really, really is uh, disciplining the body, the mind, and your consciousness on that Ekadashi day. Like it was yesterday. And then every 15 days, it's 4 days before the full moon. And ideally, you just fast from grains, just eat fruits and roots. And the better fasting is you just do water fast. And if you can, do a dry fast. So there, I will give you all the details of different levels of fast you can do and how it'll impact your body and your mind and your heart. And every one of the Ekadashis come with a unique story that I will share in the group. I'll tell you a story of every Ekadashi. It's a lot of beautiful stories. And those stories will tell you the benefits and what happened and the miracles that happen on those Ekadashis. Janardhan Prabhu, your last question. Our last question for the day.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Touching on the higher and lower mind, I thought that was the manas and the buddhi. Is there a difference between them, and what is the difference if there's time?
Yes. The mind can operate under the mode of ignorance, and the mind can operate in the mode of passion, and the mind can operate in the mode of goodness. So it is very different. Mind in the mode of ignorance will resort to self-sabotage, try and see how we can expedite the journey to our next life very unnaturally. That's mode of ignorance. And the mind in the mode of passion is, hurting others, creating crimes, and making others' life miserable. And then mind in the mode of goodness is your companion, is helping you to do your sadhana daily, even though it's hard. Still sits with you, doesn't leave you, goes in the sangha calls, and reads Srimad Bhagavad Gita and does the sadhana. So that's a mind in the mode of goodness. Okay.
Veda,
Yes, Gyanendra
can I
Prabhu.
can I ask you one question?
Yes,
So this
this is
this story is
yours.
always the story you taught today was has always kind of confused me because on one level I can see he's a king. He could do so much more for people in the world other than caring for a single deer. But on another level, he's showing such pure love for this deer. We've shown by the gopis and by Queen Kunti that like this this complete absorbment in devotion and care for Krishna is like the purest form of love. And if Krishna says that, I am all life, so why is he here being punished for showing such sincere devotion to the deer?
Yes, good question. I was very clear when I made a remark saying that he wasn't being punished, but it was just the momentum of karma. So that is point one. And point two, question is very, very beautiful, very valid. Compassion can be a trap. So we have to be very careful of the compassion trap. For example, say I'm an alcoholic, or you meet an alcoholic person and person asks you for money and he's sitting outside of a liquor shop. And you have the money and he's really desperate. You can see he really needs it. He's saying, please give me some, I need some food. Please give me some money. And you give him money. It is compassion for sure. You give him money. He needed food. And for him, his food is to booze up. So was that true compassion? Or was that compassion in the mode of ignorance? So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, yes, compassion is good, but compassion can also be a trap. Compassion in the mode of ignorance is when we are compassionate for their physicality, for their biology, and not what is inside of the package, this body. This Maharaj Bharat, he had tremendous amount of compassion for this fawn, yes, and anyone would. But that compassion became his trap because he forgot his own sadhana. He started slacking on his sadhana that he was obsessed with this deer. That so much so his consciousness was overpowered by deer meditation that he had to come back. That consciousness immediately transferred him to his next body. So, yes, we must have compassion, but compassion for the soul within the body. If someone is drowning in the river, do we go and do we try to pull off their clothes and try to save their clothes? We actually should think about how to bring that person out, not worry about their clothes, to save that person. So Krishna tells Arjuna, he says, my dear Arjuna, you have to think about not the costume, but the one that wears the costume. And that is the difference. So your point is extremely valid, but its validity would be more when we take into consideration the soul that resides within the body, the compassion for the soul, that the soul is lost and it's struggling in the material world. And how can we help that soul? How can we touch that soul? Does that make sense, Gyanendra Prabhu? We
I
can we
think
can have a
so.
deeper discussion, but like in essence, this is where even spiritual attributes can be a trap.
Vedaji, would the better thing for taking care of the deer would to be sure it was safe and fed, and then do your sadhana so the deer can hear the holy name, and that's the way to
Yes,
take care of the soul of the deer?
of course.
Yeah, better than just being obsessed with just the deer.
Yes. Many people have dogs and cats in their homes.
I
And
do.
yes, so then you can feed them prashadam, you can read meditation, read the Bhagavatam, you can chant to them, you can do kirtan with them, so much.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all very much. So nice to be with you all every Saturday. It is such a pleasure and gives my heart tremendous joy. If you have any topics you want us to cover, please message Nitai and we will cover those topics. And we look forward to seeing you again next Saturday.
You got to say
Namaste.
Haribo. Haribo.